Hello everyone, and welcome back to Lost Planeswalker. You're here with me, Jesse, the Lost Planeswalker, and today is day 2 of spoilers for the Outlaws of Thunder Junction set. I hope you're excited. I have to say my video, I didn't get posted until early this morning for yesterday, and I apologize, but this video should be up in plenty of time before we get spoilers for Wednesday. But there's a lot fewer cards, so this video should be a lot shorter. You know, right here at the top, if you haven't seen the other one, please check it out or leave a comment or like. I would really appreciate it. You know, same here. But let's dive right in. And there's a little under 40 cards today. I'm going to run through them as quickly as possible, starting out with the legendary creatures, then moving on to the rest of the main set cards. We didn't get any big score, breaking news, or other special guest cards today, so it should be real simple. And our first card to start it out is Bonnie Powell Clear Cutter. 3 green, blue, legendary creature, giant scout with reach. When Bonnie Powell Clear Cutter enters battlefield, create Bow. A legendary blue ox creature token with this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. When you attack, draw a card, then you may put a land from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. Bonnie Powell is a pretty cool card. First off, we make a new legendary blue ox creature. I love when you get a legendary creature. Hopefully, we'll see some other cards with Bow in it, but it also makes it power equal to the number of lands we control. And this lets us put additional lands onto the battlefield, so hopefully we'll get a lot of them. You know, Bonnie might want to have some bounce cards in her deck to be able to get Bow out multiple times. I think I'm saying that right. I tried to look it up, but that's what I could come up with. Next up is Bristly Bill, Spine Sower. 1 in the green, legendary creature, plant druid with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. 3 green, double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Bristly Bill is a cool legendary creature. Definitely, I was saying we need a, plant legend to be able to play all these new plant spells, and I think Bristly Bill is it. Landfall abilities, super sick. You can just do so much with that. And then being able to double counters is going to make this a fierce commander. Especially, I love the low-cost commanders, and Bristly Bill is here for you. Right after Bill, we have Brussel Tar, Roving Rancher, 2 red and a white legendary creature, human warrior. With oxen you control, have double strike. Whenever Brusen Troll, Roving Rancher enters battlefield or attacks, exile the top card of your library. If it's a land card, create a 2/2 white ox creature token. Otherwise, you may cast it until the end of your next turn. This is a pretty cool card. I did look it up. There is actually, I think, 13 playable oxen, just so everybody's aware, in Magic the Gathering. There's around 15, but a couple of them, don't have any power, so what's the point? Obviously, I think this is a cool commander that you could build this deck, with a bunch of +1/+1s, buff up all of those ox, and then the double strike is just going to help you deal lethal. So, very cool creature. And then we have Ethera Joe, Frontier Mentor, 2 red and a white, legendary creature, Core Artificer. When Ethera Joe, Frontier Mentor enters battlefield, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. When you activate an ability that targets a creature or player, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. That is a pretty sick activated ability. Whenever you activate an ability that targets a creature or player, you get to copy it. There are so many cards that can take advantage of this. I can see this being a very powerful card, especially for an uncommon, so I can't wait to see how people build around it. Next up is Malcolm the Eyes, a blue and a red legendary creature, Siren Pirate with flying and haste. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, investigate. This is great. We got another card in this set, is it, that says when you cast your second spell, draw a card. Pair these together, you have a very fun deck. Next is Marchesa, Dealer of Death. Blue, black, red, legendary creature, human rogue. With whenever you commit a crime, you may pay a generic mana. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the other into your graveyard. In this color combination, there are so many cards that care about being put in the graveyard or taking advantage of what's on top and drawing cards. Marchesa is sick. You could just keep drawing into cards committing crimes, just getting more and more stuff into your hand, more and more stuff into your bin. Maybe you're playing a reanimation deck where you want to pitch all your big stuff and get all your reanimation spells. I think Marchesa, Dealer of Death, is a cool card. I think it's going to work very well with a lot of existing cards and make it pretty powerful. Next, we have Riku of Many Paths. Green, blue, red, legendary creature, human wizard. Whenever you cast a modal spell, choose up to X, where X is the number of times you've chosen a mode for that spell. Exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play it. Put a +1/+1 counter on Riku of Many Paths. It gains trample until end of turn. Or create a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying. I love this card. Obviously, you're going to be wanting to get maximum value every turn, exiling stuff, making Raikou bigger, and then making a bird. So playing all of those modal spells to do so is awesome. In addition, you could probably build this around a certain one of these modes, whether it's exiling a ton of cards, putting +1s, or making a ton of creatures. I love this card. This is very cool, and I think this is going to be one of the more interesting cards that people are really going to be able to combo around. And lastly, for legendary creatures, we have Selvala, Eager Trailblazer. 2 green white legendary creature elf scout with vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. Tap, choose a color, add 1 mana of that color for each different power among creatures you control. So the original Selvala was very cool and powerful, but this one is also very unique. I love that it makes these creature tokens that you can use to buff up your other creatures in order to get a maximum amount of mana off of her. This is a pretty cool ability. I don't really think this is, as powerful. I mean, maybe you're playing a big deck where you're playing a bunch of creatures with different power and, getting a ton of mana to cast some big spells. But other than that, I think that this is a cool commander. I think that's going to be more fun than anything. Alrighty, now I want to dive straight into those main set cards, but before I do so, I just want to say if you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so. I'm going to be showing off all kinds of spoilers, deck upgrade guides, all the fun stuff from this set you expect to see from a Magic the Gathering YouTube channel, so please stay tuned for that. But first off, we have Aloe Alchemist, 1 in a green creature plant warlock with trample. When Aloe Alchemist becomes plotted, target creature gets +3/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. So when you get to plot this card, you get some really good bonuses, and the plot cost is equal to its casting cost. So I think there is a set of plot cards that are just a step above the rest when they have an additional ability when you're plotting them. Because one of my biggest issues with this is you can plot a bunch of cards, wait till your next turn and cast them all for free, and maybe you can do some cool comboing there. But on this turn you're plotting them, you're not getting any benefit because you can't cast them until the next turn. So I think these spells that let you do something cool on the turn you plot them, and then you get a follow-up on the next turn for free is an awesome ability, and Aloe Alchemist, I'm here for you. Next is Arid Archway, land, desert. Arid Archway enters battlefield tapped. Return a land you control to its owner's hand. If it's a desert, return this way, you surveil 1, and it taps to add 2 colorless mana. We just got another card from a recent set, I can't remember what it is. Very similar effect. Bounces, taps to add 2 mana, but this one has a step above it because you can surveil, so it's a little bit more powerful. Honestly, I think this is a pretty cool card. I think this is probably cool to ramp in a color that you're not usually ramping in. So yeah, I love this. Arid Archway. I'm gonna find some decks to throw you in. At knife point is 1 black-red enchantment. As long as it's your turn, outlaws you control have first strike. When you commit a crime, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. This is pretty cool card. Definitely going to be powerful in those decks revolving around those outlaw style cards. I can't say right now where I would put this. I mean, I think best strategy around those in particular is pirates. I think there's a huge pirate theme, so I think this could fit right into a pirate deck and be pretty powerful. Aven Interrupter, 1 white creature bird rogue, flash flying. When Aven Interrupter enters battlefield, exile target spell, it becomes plotted. Spells your opponents cast from your graveyards or from exile cost 2 more to cast. On top of this just being a great card that hurts cards being cast from graveyards and from exile, which is very powerful, you get to just stop an effect. Maybe somebody's going to counter something of yours or whatnot. This is probably one of the most powerful cards from this set so far, and I'm very excited to see this being played and just stopping some really powerful interactions from happening. Next is Binding Negotiation. 1 in a black sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, they discard it. Otherwise, you may put a face-up exiled card they own into their graveyard. So I'm not quite sure where this card fits in. I think it's mostly for those plotted cards, getting rid of those, maybe. But I'll just have to wait and see how this card plays out. Caught in the Crossfire. Red plus. Instant with Spree. Choose 1 or more additional costs. So +1, Caught in Fire deals 2 damage to each outlaw creature, and or +1, Caught in the Crossfire deals 2 damage to each non-outlaw creature. This is a pretty cool effect. I don't know if paying 3 mana for this is really worth that. I think for the most part, you're going to be doing the second one. I think because the Outlaw is way more restricting. But there's probably a deck where this finds some good homes in. Especially maybe the new Judith deck that turns, this into a board wipe. But maybe you have some Assassins, Mercenaries, Pirates, Rogues, and Warlocks. So you get to keep your creatures, but your opponents lose all theirs. So maybe that could be a pretty cool one-sided board wipe at instant speed. Congregation Griffith. 1 green white creature hippogriff mount flying in lifelink. Whenever Congregation Griffith attacks while saddled, it gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of mounts you control. Saddle for 3. Definitely one of those cards that's going in a saddle only deck. Otherwise, I don't know, it's okay, but I don't think it's really that powerful. Cunning Coyote. 1 in a red creature coyote with haste. When Cunning Coyote enters the battlefield, another target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. This is a cool effect. I love this. You know, being able to plot it, maybe play something bigger on a turn later and you want to attack immediately with it. Free spell to give it haste. This is sick. This is what I want to see from these plot cards, and these are the cards I think that are going to be really sneakily powerful. And, you know, you're going to be like, ah, I'm safe. You know, they can't attack me right away. Never mind, they sure can. Next is Desperate Bloodseeker. 1 in a black creature vampire with lifelink. When Desperate Bloodseeker enters battlefield, target player mills 2 cards. Little subtle mill, common. This seems okay. Fleeting Reflection. 1 in a blue instant. Target creature you control gains hexproof until end of turn. Untap that creature. Until end of turn, it becomes a copy of up to 1 other target creature. This is a way powerful effect that I think is kind of disguised as not being so great. Being able to basically instant seed, protect a creature, and make a copy of one of your best creatures until end of turn could be a way you combo out. Maybe just having 2 copies of a certain creature just goes infinite, or gives you so much advantage that you just get ahead of everybody else. This is a very cool copy effect that only lasts until end of turn that I hope we see more of in the future, because this is really creative. High Noon. 1 in a white enchantment. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. 4 in a red, sack High Noon. It deals 5 damage to any target. High Noon's sick. The art is awesome. The ability is awesome. I think control decks are going to love this, you know, being able to force your opponents to wait it out. I could definitely see this card being played in a ton of different formats, being able to control the board very cheaply and very easily. Intimidation Campaign. 1 blue black enchantment. When Intimidation Campaign enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life, and you draw a card. Whenever you commit a crime, you may return Intimidation Campaign to its owner's hand. I can see this being a pretty cool limited card. I don't know how well this is going to work in another deck. Blue and black really don't care about enchantments that much, so unfortunately, you know, having an enchantment enter the battlefield over and over again, you're not going to get that much benefit. But maybe the right commander, pair this with some green, you're going to get some really cool draw effects with it. Lassoed by the Law. 3 in a white enchantment. When Lassoed by the Law enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Lassoed by the Law leaves the battlefield. When Lassoed by the Law enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. This is a pretty typical effect. You know, I think it's kind of more expensive than some of the ones we've gotten recently. It does give you a creature token on entering, so maybe that's pretty good. I don't really play control in this way, so, you know, tell me in the comments down below what you think of it. Lone Shark. 3 in a blue creature shark rogue. When Lone Shark enters the battlefield, if you've cast 2 or more spells this turn, draw a card. Definitely, this is one of those great plot cards. Put it away, cast 2 spells on your next turn, then cast this and get some additional card draw just from casting this spell. Marauding Sphinx. 3 blue creature Sphinx rogue with flying, vigilance, and ward 2. Whenever you commit a crime, surveil 2. This ability triggers only once each turn. In blue, this is probably going to be pretty good. We've gotten some cards that really care about surveilling. Obviously, putting extra stuff in the bin, if that's what you want to do, is good. So I think Marauding Sphinx will find some homes in some decks, but it's not the most powerful outside of a surveil focused deck. Outcaster Greenblade. 2 in a green creature human mercenary. When Outcaster Greenblade enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card or desert card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Outcaster Greenblade gets +1/+1 for each desert you control. Definitely another desert focused card. You know, if you're building a deck and you just decide to put, you know, a bunch of deserts in it, I could see this being pretty cool. It also tutors up a card, so it's pretty much going to be a 2/3 that tutors you a land for a little additional ramp. Prosperity Tycoon. 3 in a white creature human noble. When Prosperity Tycoon enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. Then 2 sack a token. Prosperity Tycoon gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. So basically, he's sacking someone in order to stay alive, which is very fun and flavorful. But outside of limited, I don't really think this has a home anywhere. There's already a bunch of white creatures with indestructible, and this ends up tapping it as well, so it's okay. Resilient Roadrunner. 1 in a red creature bird. Haste in protection from coyotes. 3 Resilient Roadrunner can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. Chasing the Roadrunner. Omenport slang for wasting energy on an impossible pursuit. Obviously, we're getting a call back to the Looney Tunes, Roadrunner, and Wile E. Coyote. This is a very fun card, but actually quite strong. Being able to make it unblockable except by creatures with haste is pretty good, because if you're playing against any other decks that aren't red, you have a good chance that none of those cards are really going to have haste. So maybe suit this up with some armor and swing in for massive damage. Rictus Robber, 3 and a black, creature zombie rogue. When Rictus Robber enters the battlefield, if a creature died this turn, create a 2/2 blue and black zombie creature token. Then you can plot it for 2 and a black. I could see this being pretty good the turn you cast it or the turn later. I think a 4/3 in black that makes a creature when it enters is actually pretty strong. So I definitely would consider plotting this and putting it in some zombie decks for sure. Servant of the Stinger, 1 and a black, creature, human, warlock with death touch. Whenever Servant of the Stinger deals combat damage to a player, if you've committed a crime this turn, you may sack Servant of the Stinger. If you do, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. A tutor effect on a creature after it deals damage, so your opponent either loses one of their creatures or you potentially get to go tutor something up. You do have a little bit of a restriction because you have to commit a crime before doing so in order to get the full effect, but this could be a sneaky card later in the game someone just doesn't suspect, and you end up getting a win con piece with it. Next up, we have Shifting Griffs. Blue plus sorcery, so this is another spree card. +2, exchange control of 2 target creatures, +1 exchange control of 2 target artifacts, +1 exchange control of 2 target enchantments. This is a awesome card. I think this could, really screw up some people. They're not realizing this card and its power, and you can just switch everybody's stuff up or, gain the best stuff on the board. So Shifting Grift, awesome. Next is Spine Woods Armadillo, 4 green creature armadillo with reach and ward 3, 1 and a green, discard Spinewood Armadillo, search your library for a basic land card or a desert card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle, you gain 3 life. I think that this card just goes in any green ramp deck, or any deck playing ramp in general. 1, you either have a giant creature that maybe you can get back from your graveyard somehow, or 2, you can just discard this to ramp, and honestly, that's pretty good. You're gaining life and getting a basic into your hand. I don't see any downside to this card whatsoever. I love these effects that have us discard or cycle in order to get more lands into our hand. So Spinewood Armadillo, welcome. Next is Step Between Worlds, 3 blue sorcery. Each player may shuffle their hand and graveyard into their library. Each player who does draw 7 cards. Exile Step Between Worlds. This one does cost a little bit more to plot. I can definitely see why, because you basically want to have this on reserve for when you need it. I think that this is a pretty cool effect in most blue decks, and I think that this is definitely going to find its way into some formats, but probably just Commander. Stubborn Burrow Fiend, 1 and a green, creature, badger, beast, mount. Whenever Stubborn Burrow Fiend becomes saddled for the first time each turn, mill 2 cards, then Stubborn Burrow Fiend gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Saddle it for 2. This is definitely a Golgari card right here. Fill up that bin. This gets a whole lot bigger for all the creatures in there, and it's kind of an engine piece, so I love this effect. Pretty good uncommon. 3 steps ahead, single blue plus, so this is another spree card. Instant, +1 in a blue, counter target spell. +3, create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control. And +2, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. It's an okay effect. I think it's pretty versatile, so I would end up playing it. Also, being able to play 2 blue and 1 isn't terrible either for a counter spell that's also modal. So that's a cool effect. Thunder Lasso, 2 and a white, artifact equipment. When Thunder Lasso enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Love this effect. It's a great equipment that I think more people need to take advantage of. Tomb Trawler, 2 generic artifact creature golem. 2, put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. 0/4. Dying is common on Thunder Junction. Resting in peace is a much rarer commodity. This is neat. I mean, we have some other effects. I think that this fits in a certain deck, and if you're playing that deck, you're going to put it in there. But next up, we have Unscrupulous Contractor, 2 and a black, creature, human, assassin. When Unscrupulous Contractor enters the battlefield, you may sack a creature. When you do, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Plot for 2 and a black. any aristocrat deck, any deck that just has things you want to sacrifice to get value off of maybe death triggers is going to love this card. You get additional benefit for just doing what you already wanted to do. So, pretty great. And our last card of the day is actually a legendary creature I missed, is Vadmire New Blood. 1 in a black legendary creature, vampire rogue. Whenever you commit a crime, put a +1/+1 counter on Vadmire New Blood. This ability triggers only once each turn, and as long as Vadmire has 4 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it has menace and lifelink. I mean, it's cool. I think you get upside for casting your spells. You know, it kind of can take a while to get big, though. I don't really see this as a good commander, potentially. You know, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I definitely would like to see flying here. I think if it had flying, it'd be a much bigger threat and definitely a contender as an actual commander versus a 99 card. But that is it today. I hope you enjoyed those cards as much as I enjoyed telling you about them. And if you could do me a favor, please consider leaving a comment on this video. Just tell me what card from the spoiled cards I showed off today you're most excited for. You know, let me know in the comments down below. That would be amazing. In addition, you know, please share this with a friend. Do you have anybody who's interested in this set? You know, leave a like on this video and subscribe to see more content. Like I mentioned at the top of the video, I'm going to be doing deck techs, a bunch of commander decks, all kinds of stuff for this set. So just subscribe to see more of it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And today's Scryfall card of the day is Marshal of Zolfir. How kind of our foes to move in such perfect, predictable unison. Split into squadrons and execute the Lion Claws. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you later, Planeswalkers.